And we're back. So we had a little bit of a hiccup, had a technical problem. We've docked Shane's pay for that last flub. So welcome back, Teresa and Jen and everyone else. And Shane, momentarily you're back. So, oh, and Jen jumped off. Oh, well, she can come back later. So,
Mistakes happen, and
yep.
uh, I hope everyone remembers that. Really, I think Christian is the only one that has any kind of professional training here in this kind of stuff.
Might be the case. It might be. That's all right. That's all right. We're figuring it out. Yeah.
But
And that doesn't mean I know everything either, but I definitely have a very high standard bouncing around in my head for most things. So it makes me how do I put it? When I'm working these shows, like I have like all of like my nerve endings on. It's like it's hard for me not to like smile because I cover my nervousness with humor. So I think that makes me a decent on-air personality because the more nervous I get, the more jovial and whatever. But anyway, welcome back to Rebuild Illinois' town hall. I don't even know if I can legitimately call this a Telegram town hall. We have no viewers in at the moment, but this is still being recorded to Facebook and to YouTube. Um, I haven't promoted it out there. I just dropped it into our chat on Telegram. I don't know how many active viewers we have there, but I'm actually going to. I think I do want to drop this in a couple other places, like Illinois First Chat. I know Bo had some people in there, um, and I'm trying to see if there's anyone else that. Do you have any other suggestions, Teresa, that might make uh, a good option that we should start like considering part of our target audience at all? Do you know? I mean,
um,
uh,
well, I wanted to add one thing that remember we're in December.
mhm,
Christmas
mhm.
is coming fast. There's
Right,
probably a lot of people out shopping. Um, so that's, I mean, we're in that season. We're in that time period. Um, so who knows how many people are at home on a Sunday night to watch this
right.
right now.
Well, no,
In
I get that.
January, that'll be different because that's when the holidays are over and that's one of our coldest months and everyone's huddled up at home.
Right.
December is usually still a little, it's cold, but it's not frigid cold. It's not polar vortex cold.
Right, right. I mean, when it gets polar vortex cold, things get crazy, and you want to like go get really bad Boy Scout knots, and you know, harass different Hollywood stars that happen to be walking in your hometown. I mean, that's the kind of thing that happens with polar vortexes, right?
And remember, during polar vortexes, Chicago suddenly becomes MAGA country.
It does. It does. Just for a very short period of time. I think it's like all the people in red suits confuses you. You see red
Mhm.
hats. You see red hats with tassels. You don't know which way to go with it. Yeah.
And oddly, the people in Chicago like to walk around with ropes and bleach in a polar vortex.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, at some point they're going to cancel Santa because they're going to consider him a Trump supporter at some point because of all that red. So I know that's coming down the pike.
Well,
I mean,
they're gonna come after me just because I have red hair.
right.
Am I gonna have to color my hair for it?
You might. You might. It's happened before where I've had to dye my hair, but that's just to keep my wife happy because she doesn't want me to be completely gray. No white hoary heads that honor the Lord. So anyway, as far as the Smollett case, were there any updates that you had that were concise, short takes, hot
Nothing
takes?
more, nothing more than what I reported on Patriot News Network. But for the people that are watching here through Rebuild Illinois, there was a lot of drama this week. It was only Monday through Thursday. They, I guess, took Friday off, but I would imagine that's warranted considering Thursday there was a scuffle between the defense attorney and the judge where the defense attorney actually accused the judge of lunging at her
Right.
and was asking for a mistrial. So a lot of drama in the courtroom, probably more drama in the courtroom than what there was on the show Empire that Jesse Smollett was in.
Right. They drama can only exist in one place at a time. I think there's some. I don't know. I'm making up rules as I go. So, but yeah, there's been some there's been a lot of what you might consider to be shakeups on our personal front, that has kind of impeded our ability to be very connected with a lot of the local political action. That is about to change, though. Everyone's settling in. I see a light at the end of the tunnel. Matter of fact, I'm starting to see it more and more as we go forward. I'm sure you're there as well, too, Teresa. I'm going to give, like I said, we're going to give grace for our dear friend Ben. We know that he's probably 2 or 3 weeks from feeling like he wants to show up anywhere, I think, at this point. I don't know. Maybe he'll want an escape. Maybe he'll want to get out with Yale. I know he just posted about it, I think, on social media yesterday. So,
Yeah, and we think we're still probably close to a week out from services, somewhere in that ballpark. But my children and I visited with him and his family yesterday, and your heart just breaks.
well, I mean, this is really his baby as much as anyone else's as far as Rebuild Illinois goes. This is something that he and I started together. It was his idea to want to get onto Facebook, which ironically, here we are back on Facebook, which is wonderful. This tool actually allows us to get to YouTube and Facebook simultaneously. We've spent a lot of time putting some content out over the past 3 or 4 months strictly to Telegram, and then we started mirroring it out to Facebook. But so it's kind of interesting to come home here to Facebook. I feel like there's probably a lot more opportunity to gain traction through Facebook video. But at the same time, because we're playing what I like to call on the enemy's playground, we have to abide by their rules as far as what speech will and will not get you canceled. So
I have a question about Facebook.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now that they're retooling it as Meta. What is that all about? Because it still says Facebook. I'm not sure. Is that like
that's just
powering behind it?
I will. It's actually part of a video that I'm working on over on my personal vlog. I've already written about 75 to 80% of the content at this point. But there's been so many changes. I have to keep updating it in order to make sure that it's current. Unfortunately, it's not a real evergreen piece. But I'm going to spend some time on my personal YouTube channel, which is I think it's at Christian Sass on YouTube /Christian Sass. So my full name, I am still reserving Sastian, which is you see at the bottom of the screen, for some future projects. I'm actually in a process right now where I'm taking all the content that I have been unsure of how to direct it all and move it all into its own channel. So not to make this too much of a self-promotional piece, but since you're bringing up Meta, this has been a very hot topic of mine, and I feel like there's an intersection between politics and technology that is unavoidable, has to be addressed. We have seen our political infrastructure greatly influenced by technology, and I think that the only way to really avoid painting ourselves into a digital corner is going to be by educating ourselves and gaining awareness about the decisions that we make and the implications that they bring. So I'm going to spend some time doing kind of a very as quick of a history as I can muster, because everyone who knows me knows that I get a little too detailed when I like to dig into history. But I want to give a history of the internet. I can say that I'm not exactly a boomer. I think I'm the generation after that, whatever Generation X. I'm not a boomer.
You're an Xer.
I'm a Gen X. I turned 50 next May. But because of that, I think I was in a real sweet spot in which I got to see the entire internet made while I was in high school, while my wife was in college. Hey, good to see you. First on the part 2. Good to have you in here. We do have comments coming through, so
I think Ben and you and me, we all
saw the internet happen in our high school and college era.
And actually, can I share something that I saw last night?
Sure.
The marquee at my church said, "Respect your parents. They passed school without Google."
That's right. We passed school without cell phones.
Because the internet.
Well, and so and that's kind of the big point of this, is that I feel that if we gain some perspective, and you respect your elders, which I think unfortunately I'm starting to fall into that category. You can walk down, it's okay. That's all right. It's part of our house. So, but what I was getting at is that, we basically lived through an era in which we saw the internet come into fruition from absolutely nothing, right, to what it is today. And I actually was in a fortunate enough position to go through the entire development side. I actually got to go to California during the last year before the bubble burst out there, and work for a .com after working for Motorola doing marketing online, being an online marketing specialist, I think is what my business card said at the time. But yeah, I was in web development from the hand coding era into the content management system era, and watched the whole social media thing come up. And it's interesting. A lot of this perspective comes because I had a client who wanted to start his own social network. And I'm like, well, what's a social network? I mean, I know what. I guess I wasn't classifying MySpace. That term hadn't really hit my core yet. And so I start searching Orkut and all these. Facebook was still only available if you were a college student on I think 5 or 6 different campuses at the time. And like within the span of 1 year, I went from having literally this moniker registered 0 places to it being basically synonymously with simultaneously registered on every social media network. Pretty much, if you Google this name here, you'll learn way too much about me. So, but I'm what you might call an early adopter and a bit of a futurist, and so I felt that I'm in a unique position to kind of like pick the ponies of the next generations. I spent quite a few years being proven right in an absolute vacuum, and I'm like, when nobody was around to hear these predictions that I saw come to pass. I have a couple of close friends that says, if you want to know what happens, you have to ask Sastion what the hell's he's 5 years ahead of everyone else. So hopefully that's still the case. And what I'm going to do is kind of give you guys my entire spectrum on what I see as far as technology and how it stands as a tool for politics. Since
that's
I did
because Christian is a genius.
I'm not a genius.
Yes, he is.
He's
very good with
I'm highly distractible. Jen, can you back me up on the ADD statement? I mean, is it really genius when you're up at 5 a.m. because you can't go to sleep because you found a specific website? I mean,
I think it's a little bit of genius mixed with maybe a touch of distractive qualities. But I think that really, rounds it all out as far as the personality is concerned, because you're such a talented, incredible, supportive friend. I'm so grateful to have been connected with you.
Well, I like you too. I like most of the people that I meet in general. I think you have to work pretty hard to get on my shit list, but there is one. I want you to know a shit list does exist. So
no, I think you need a healthy dose of both, almost, to be able to not only dive into the projects that you've dove into, but also juggle them and focus on one and then switch focus to another.
I think that the projects have delved into me more in the recent times than me diving into other projects. I keep finding myself literally, I forget what movie am I quoting when I say I try to get out, but they keep pulling me back in. Is that Godfather? So
yeah, I know what movie it is. I think it's of course we've spoken so much today. My brain now is like scrambled eggs.
Absolute mush. Absolute mush.
But I can picture the guy in my head. I know what you're talking about.
Try to get out. They keep pulling me back in. So you get a free sticker from me. I don't even know what sticker it is. I'll find a sticker and I'll send it to you if you can tell me what movie that was in the YouTube comments. So subscribe to our YouTube channel. Let's get our subscribership up. I think last time I looked, we were at a respectable 4. So we're working our way back to you, babe. with a burning love inside. So,
Well,
uh,
and let me just say this: the more that we do, the more good that we're doing, the more we're
right
also getting attacked. And all three of us, Christian, Ben, and myself, we have been whoo.
through the ringer.
Um,
It has been a crazy month. You've gone through, dare I say, the D word, right?
still going through the D word.
Yeah, still, it's a big pain in the ass. And I
It's
am,
ongoing.
I've lost my best friend 2 months ago. I have been somehow swinging hammers and making it look like I know what I'm doing, but not necessarily not necessarily Bob Vila over here. You know, um,
Well, and with
I
going through
paint it well when it's all done.
and with going through the D word, there's also and moving. There's a lot of going through stuff. You don't know really how much stuff you accumulate until you go to move.
Right.
Whoo!
Yeah, it's a word. In case you're wondering, it rhymes with schmavorse, right? So,
Yes. But
look,
yes,
I'm sporting one of
moving
Larry's
is
shirts
supposed to
today.
be.
Larry was a big DC Comics geek, and so I got all of his old
So which
Marvel
side are
shirts.
you on, DC or Marvel?
You know, Disney getting a hold of Marvel is really an unfair advantage. But honestly, I'm on this side of truth, so fiction doesn't really tickle me as much.
You know
So
what? If you want fiction, just turn on that
I
big
turn on
old
the news if I
box
want fiction.
in your living room called the
Yeah,
BookTube.
yeah,
If
yeah,
you want facts, then you're going to have to go to look to the internet for other sources like
yeah.
Illinois or Patriot News Network.
Right, right, right. So, yeah. So there will be a long and short of it, which is like too long didn't read. I will be releasing a video that hopefully predicts what I see as our options over the next couple of years, probably within the next 5 years. I can give you even a sneak peek of like the research board on that if you're interested. Just let me know in comments as well. But I really think that what we're coming up on, and this is the best way to summarize it, is we're coming up on a digital tea party soon. We basically are going to be throwing zeros and ones in the Boston Harbor here because we have to decide exactly where it is that we're going to uh, communicate and how we're going to communicate. And when we realize that we command a lot of control over that, the internet is still an open platform. But we're not playing on open platforms. We're playing in closed networks that are posing as open platforms. No, Teresa wants, she's got insight on this one.
I do have to ask you a question since you're so good at predictions.
Mm.
Are we going to still have a country left in 5 years?
I hope so. I hope so. I got 5
Well,
years.
we're working very hard to make sure it's.
We're doing our best for our posterity, as our founding fathers would say. We're doing what we can. It's what did Franklin say? A republic if you can keep it.
We're desperately trying to keep that republic.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I haven't cried a lot, but it wells up. It wells up. There's the one though. That's one of those topics, man. I get talking about. I can talk about the Bible. I can talk about representative republic. I can talk about our the liberties that we have, and talk about our kids. And I get pretty emotional. So, um, that's why I find it hard to ignore the things that I can do. I find it hard to be a bystander.
Well, I really love the video and song that you used at the beginning of part
Oh, yeah.
one.
Yeah, that's
That was
actually
awesome.
and I can play that again if you're interested. But that is a good friend of mine. His name's Billy Falcon. I met him when I was a teenager in New Knoxville, Ohio. He used to be part of the same church ministry that I was a part of, and so have very similar spiritual roots. But he's a phenomenal person. His music has always stood out to me even back then. I had a cassette of his called Spark in the Dark from ages ago. And he is a master lyricist. I can't put it any other way. And I'm fortunate enough to be raising a similar prodigy, another master lyricist. So I realized that uh, you know, these things must be cultivated. So
Now that's your oldest, right?
my oldest, yeah, Charlotte, and
Mm.
we are still
She's
trying to put
very
out
talented.
videos. Yeah, yeah. We've taken a little bit of a break. Obviously, the studio going through its renovations, and our house going through renovations, and all the tragedies that we've all been suffering over the past couple of weeks.
But
Yeah,
let's do for those tragedies, because there was a blessing, and I know he's not on here right now.
yeah, yeah.
Shane has a new member of his family.
Shane does. He just had a daughter. I think her name is Haley. Is that right?
Haley, yes. Which is kind of fun because I have a Haley.
Yeah, that's cool.
They're spelled differently, but that's okay.
And my son got his cast off yesterday, and there's all these fun little things. I mean, life is full of up and downs. I just hope that we have more ups than we've had downs recently. And we are really, what we're trying to do is build community uh, that shares similar values, shares similar goals, and we hope that you become a part of that community. If you actually want to get involved with us, I suggest that you go over to Telegram. That is still the core route of where we will continue to communicate, because it's proven itself to be trustworthy. When I talk about vetting digital options, one of those options that I feel very strongly about is the Telegram platform. I think it is probably the best choice for free speech. There's a lot of people that go around and spread a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt in the software coding world. We call that FUD, FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. That want to say that, it was started by an Israeli and it's in German, and they support terrorists. Actually, if you spend time looking at the founder's Telegram account, this guy reads like a founding father. He really cares about freedom of speech, and that's not just in the United States. He obviously isn't even a citizen of the United States. He just thinks that that's an inalienable right himself, and does what he can to defend it on that platform. We're not speaking on any of those platforms. So right now, if some of you are viewing us on Facebook, we've learned that we can't trust Facebook. I think we've learned that we can't trust YouTube, the two places we're currently streaming to. We had been streaming a lot of our stuff directly to Telegram. We've been experimenting with that for about 2 or 3 solid months now. And what we're going to be doing right now is integrating a lot of that and trying to, I think what it is, it's kind of like extraditing people to a new country. Not extradite, I guess that's the wrong one. We want to make
Migrate,
expatriate. I think it was what I'm looking. There's a term there. We just want to make it known that there's a safe place to be. You can have asylum at Telegram and escape persecution. I mean, like I said, very similar to another digital tea party. We are currently, I think, in the Mayflower stage. We are finding new land at the moment, and Shane's building some places. I mean, this is a guy that isn't willing to like adopt new land. He's trying to like build his own. So we'll see how that goes over time.
and dare we even say that it's a digital revolution? And again, when I use the term revolution, I'm not talking guns. I'm talking change, radical change to free ourselves.
Well, and it's interesting. Ben about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, shared with us a slide in one of the courses that he's putting together. He's in the process of developing his own YouTube channel that I'm helping him with, since that's where all this started in the first place, in which he wants to start teaching constitutional topics. He wants to teach about the Constitution, teach about the efficacy of it, the biblical roots of it, as well as the like basic founding principles, and break them down into a very simple understanding. And one of the first slides that he shared, because he was kind of demoing it with me, it revealed to me something that I had never thought about before, and I thought I had thought about this pretty thoroughly. And that is that and it's funny because Jen, we had this conversation a little bit ago. but she's kind of a recent convert to the political conversation in general. And she's like, I don't know what these terms mean when you say conservative and liberal. And I mean, obviously Democrat and Republican are parties and stuff like that. But I mean, like, what do they mean in context? And I had a bit of an epiphany about the word conservative, about, I would say maybe 6 months ago. So even that recently, and I would say my real political mind didn't start developing until about 2012, if you want to get honest about it. Till I started actually running as a delegate for Dr. Paul. I was just enthralled with the ideas, but I don't think I had adopted them and let them soak into my bones. But I didn't realize that the word conservative really was relative to the context of time. If to be conservative means that you don't want change. That's really all that means. I want to conserve the way things currently are. And if you don't like the way things are, you are then progressive or liberal. You want change. So if we lived in a communist state today, which we kind of getting close to, if we lived in a very oppressive state, you would be then progressive to want to have something different. Now, that's just what those terms mean. That they can mean one thing in one era and the complete opposite in another. And
Yes.
and what's interesting about that is that the target of that is a constant. If you want to talk about being liberal or conservative, that's relative to what your viewpoint is. I'm conservative. I want to conserve our constitutional values. I want to conserve our founding fathers' values. I don't think they need a lot of revision.
Well, and that's one of the arguments that a lot of people make to claim that the parties have switched sides, because when the Republican Party was initially founded in
It was progressive.
1956, it was a liberal party, and the Democrats were the conservatives. So people are trying to say, oh, the parties have switched sides. No.
The terminology has changed based on the context.
You have to know what the status quo is, or what the state of affairs is at that time. And at that time, slavery was
right.
the
So
norm.
if you want to change that, is a liberal policy or a progressive policy.
Right. Now, if you fast forward to, let's say the 1960s, even, by that point, slavery had been abolished, freedom and liberty. And we were really working hard we had equality, but we needed to master it, make sure that we were filling in all the gaps, basically, that we were, making sure it was truly equal. Even though legally on paper you had it, it was applying it. Right. Is the only problem that we had. But the status quo was equality. Again, I'm not saying it was all equal. The problem was in the application, but on paper it was equal. Right. And so that's why conservatism has been equated with maintaining that equality.
Right. And I'm going to interject here. I think the point was that I was bringing up about Ben's slide that was so, I guess, such an epiphany for me, is that, like, I recognized the flexibility of the word based on context, right? I already had that, but what he brought was like the linchpin to the concept, was that if you have conservative and liberal or progressive ideas that are all basically interpreted and dependent upon context, then what is the constant? Well, the constant in this, the idea that we're all gunning for, is liberty. That's a constant we're hunting for. And if you go, you can, on this scale, have like very, very oppressive government and very anarchist. And anarchist doesn't mean that you're like jumping on cop cars and burning things. It means that you have absolutely zero government. That means you're so perfect at regulating yourself. It's this utopian idea that we don't need anyone. And even like BLM in general, they kind of sell an anarchist paradise of, we don't need any cops, we are self-policing, all this. That's not possible because of human nature, period. It's just not.
Right, and
So
when you're here,
overbearing government where they control everything, and or absolutely zero government. The truth is what we're aiming for is liberty, and we swing back and forth between those, and hopefully the goal, our North Star, is liberty. And
correct.
that was a huge epiphany for me. So anyway,
Yeah, and so it's all anchored into um searching for that. And when like if you're on the one side and you start to come this way, then as it gets closer and closer to this liberty in the center, which is what we all want, then that becomes conservative. And as you pull further away, that becomes
right. So
liberal.
it was just
But then when it starts to come back this way again, so you have those two extremes, but
well,
conservative is not wanting to change, because once you get to this point in the center, most of us don't want it to change. We want liberty.
right. So in context of that, as far as the conversation goes, and how do we bring it back home to like state politics, right? Local politics. I think what we have to be able to do is understand what our North Star is. We have to know what our goals are, what we want to obtain. Is this policy? Is this local statute or mandate, or is your neighborhood watch doing something that is either going to give you more or less liberty? All of these things get measured against that yardstick. And we want to basically then teach people how they can get involved at a local level, whether it's your homeowners association or your city council or your county level or your state level. That's the conversation we want to foster. We want to get people the information necessary to get involved, and we want them to be able to understand that our goal is liberty. Our goal is to reduce the influence that government has over your rights that are given by God, that are inalienable.
And remember, this is a nation of the people, by the people, and for the people. But
if you don't stand up, someone else is going to do it for you.
If you don't get involved, if you're sitting back waiting for other people to do it, then that's how we end up with this political class and the rest of us peons.
Yeah, we don't need what Hayek calls the road to serfdom. We need to actually get into a position where we are involved in our government. We are part of that governing body by our own actions, and the silent majority will basically, hopefully, diminish and not stay silent anymore.
And remember, liberty and freedom is an inalienable right. It is given to us by God, but the world has taken that away. And in the whole history of the world, this is actually this is basically a privilege when you factor in the history of the world and how much people have been under oppression throughout the world, in every country, throughout the history. So when we are talking about bringing it back, we do have to get involved and make sure that we don't lose that privilege, because once it's gone, it's gone. And
So-
it's harder to get it back. We have to maintain that. It's a privilege we can't lose, even though it is a right.
All that being said,
They can turn it into a privilege and you lose it.
I'm going to go a little strategic with you, as our buddy Sargis would implore us, and that is that if we're looking at trying to actually affect a change, if we think that 5 years from now there's a chance at righting this ship and making sure that we miss the iceberg. I think in Illinois we've already plowed. We're trying to plow through the iceberg for some reason, but if there is a chance to navigate this ship back towards liberty and back towards freedom, at least at a local level, then it's not going to happen with us Gen Xers. I mean, I just have a certain skill set and ability that I'm trying to foster and encourage and plant seeds so that people have more and more of a voice. I'm really, as things progress and as things have changed, my goal is not to silence anybody. My goal ultimately is to educate people on a personal level and in my personal life and on my own goals. It's all about educating, and hopefully I can be that to my children first, but then more importantly, to the up and coming generation. I think those who are my age and older, they're kind of stuck in their beliefs. You can't really preach to the choir and change anything. But there's an entire generation that uses these tools that hopefully we have fresh faces that we can we can educate on how to apply amazing skills that I think we'd love to hand down. Jen is obviously um, a a natural marketing genius. She has the ability to kind of see the entire plan, and I'm sure that I think I'm her senior by 10 years, but I think we need people that are 10, 15 years our juniors to bring up into this realm and educate so that they can uh, be excited about the concepts of freedom and liberty before
And
they
getting
lose them, you know?
and remember, there's a lot of us that do not come from political families, that
Mhm.
our families were not involved in politics, and we're navigating this purely on our own, and we're stumbling through it, trying to figure out how do you get involved. And we're raising that next generation. My parents had nothing to do with politics. And now I've been involved. I ran for Congress. So my children are learning how to do this, how you would go about this, how do you get actively involved, so that it's going to be second nature for their generation. Where I'm
Right.
stumbling around, it's going to be second nature for them. And even getting in, when we talk about getting involved, it doesn't have to be running for office. It could be just simple, or even school board is just go to the meetings. If you haven't been going to your county board meetings or school board meetings, go.
Well, and it's not just about going. It's in the act of attending these meetings, which all operate generally. This is something for you guys to Google, and that is the Robert's Rules of Order. They operate under a set of rules that most corporations and most governments all try to operate under, and that allows opportunity for you to get involved and for you to have a voice. You'll find that in attending these meetings that you have opportunities to change the direction of these meetings just through your participation. And most people are just unaware of the power that they have. So our goal is to educate people, inspire people, hopefully even cause them to want to run for office, like our friend Teresa here has. And
It's not that hard. I mean,
in do
it is hard, but it's not as complicated as what people think. And
right.
anyone can do it. You really can. I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't from a political family, and I didn't have a lot of money, and yet I still went out there, did it, and broke records.
Well, it takes multiple tries. I mean, the people who get elected on first run,
Unless you're down
that's not the norm. So, but I'll tell you what, we'll get more of us. How do I put this? A lot of what this comes from is I think that a real key to success is not going to be by going it alone and playing the lone wolf. I think you have to find people who will support you with their time, with their intellect, with their input, with their sometimes it's financial, but it isn't always financial. You need to kind of find your tribe when it comes to this, and you'll find that there are an awful lot of people who will support and be glad to have someone like you represent them in government. And I encourage you to take this journey with us, get involved with us. Hopefully, we continue to teach you, and it doesn't become an echo chamber; it becomes a place of education. That's the ultimate goal here. I don't know if there's much else I want to add to that. I kind of want to kind of feel myself kind of wrapping it all up into bookmarks here. So I don't know if you have anything else you want to add, or Jen, you got anything you want to add to that, or Shane, who just popped in. Again, bring her up. All right, well, that's good to know. Thank you, Shane. So yeah, if anyone has anything else they want to add to that,
just remember to pray.
yes,
And one thing that was mentioned on the Patriot News Network while we were covering the Ghislaine Maxwell trial is those hotlines, because I'm sure that trial is triggering for some people. So
I can pull those up from that. Let me pull them
yeah.
up real quick, and I will share those. Yeah.
And I know that a lot of people don't like the word trigger, but when you are talking about child sexual assault or any kind of sexual assault, actually, it can cause a lot of people who have had that happen to them. It can bring up those memories and can trigger the PTSD.
Right. Or other it can also bring other ideas that you may just need someone to pray with you. So if these two numbers aren't attractive to you and you know someone who will pray with you, call that person or get a hold of us on Telegram and reach out to either Teresa or I. And I mean, we have no problem getting to know any of you a little better and give you that kind of support. So guys, we are definitely out of time since this is our second run. I know I got to get back to my family. I've been all day on front of this computer, and I need to probably make sure I get circulation in my legs. So we're thankful that you decided to spend an hour of your time with us again on this town hall. I think the jury's out, no pun intended, Jen, on on whether or not we are going to continue calling this the Telegram Town Hall. But we will still be meeting every Sunday at 7 for the foreseeable future, and we hope that you join us. Please make sure to find us on Telegram. Let me see if I can find that link for you real quick. I believe we have it here. Our website is below at rebuild.illinois.org. That's where your primary information should be coming from. We do have a Linktree link, which is linktr.ee/rebuild-illinois. We have a lot of different Telegram groups here in the state. We do try to back up our stuff to Odyssey. This channel will not get backed up to Odyssey. I'll have to manually upload these, but eventually this will all get linked up again. So all of those resources are there for you. Make sure that you do look us up there. And I will create one last one with proper http://stuffs.
And next week I will be in my new office.
I'm so excited for you.
And all of the lives that we've been doing on PNN or the Patriot News Network for the Ghislaine Maxwell will be uploaded on not only iHeartRadio, but all the other places that you would listen to your podcast. So if you don't have time to go and listen to them live, you can find them there as well. So
yeah, I think this is going to be kind of a interesting, there is a word for it, federation of information channels that will all be connected with each other, that hopefully this spreads well beyond Illinois. But make sure to find us on Telegram. t.me/rebuild-illinois is our primary channel. And we also have a very interactive chat channel at t.me rebuild Illinois chat, where we actually do directly respond to anyone, answer any questions, help you out wherever we can. So until next week, until next Sunday, we will all be praying for Ben, and we will hopefully be praying for each other and for our state. The heartland is not over yet. So thanks for watching. We'll talk to you all soon, and stay safe, everyone.